Greetings and welcome to Monster Legends, and another special feeding episode. This time we're going to be feeding a fellow that I picked up at a mini progression event. I had a choice of two individuals, and I chose him. This is Stormbeard, and it appears that Stormbeard has rewarded my faith in him with lots of open ruin slots. And Stormbeard is, of course, a legendary. He's Thunder, he's part of the Sea book, he's part of the Good Legions book, and he's in a temporary book that will be going away in about a month. Alright, so let's find a home for him. I guess for now he's going to have to hang out with a leprechaun. Once again, that was shocking. Alrighty. So where is he here? This is Zevio. No, it is not. We'll find some kind of a cool name for him. This is Stormbeard. Alright, he is a legendary. He is Thunder, like I said. Oh, he is immune to blindness. And he's tough. He's got a 35% chance to resist negative stats effects. Very, very useful indeed. Alright, let's take a look at some stats here. His strength isn't too bad. His life is a little bit above normal. A little bit, about 150 is about normal there. And his speed is pretty good. I've heard he's kind of denialish, so I guess we're going to find out when we look at his skills. And speaking of which, let's look at his initial skills. Why are pirates so cool? Deals low physical damage to one enemy. That should be an endgame one, because that is just a great name for a skill, right? Because they are. Okay, I see it's a two-part one there, right? All right, anyway, this one is moderate thunder damage to one enemy. Okay, so are we going to be doing that with his skills? I hope so. It sounds pretty cool. All right, and at the bottom here, we have King of the Seven Seas. Deals very heavy thunder damage to all enemies, removes 100% of stamina from all enemies, applies bleed to all enemies. Okay, so that's pretty darn useful right there. That's one of those guys that can be game-changing, you know, especially the taking the stamina away, because that just kind of shuts them down on the other side, and throwing bleeding in is pretty good too, you know. It looks like Varuna and Cavenfish have competition. Stormbeard has a magnificent ship, the Thunder of the Seven Seas. He's elegantly dressed, and he has the skills that will crush any pirate, in fact, any monster in the water element. Alright, so he's ready to jump in there. Of course, he's Good Legions, though. Is he really a pirate if he's Good Legions, though? I guess we'll have to find out when we look at his skills. Anyway, I have a whole bunch of tomatoes for him, so open wide. Okay, there he is, his final form. He's got a big old electric hook there and a dagger in the other hand. And he's just shocking. So let's continue. We want to see skills, so let's get going. Alright, let's get to level 7. Ho, yo, yo. Okay, is he Santa Claus? No. Deals moderate special damage to one enemy. 50% chance of applying stamina leak to one enemy. Okay, so is he going to be messing with stamina? You know, with that and his big skill, you know? I guess we're going to find out. It does pretty good damage for a first skill, that's all. It's just the 50% thing has got to go away, right? Alright, so let's continue to level 10. Jolly Roger's Curse. Deals moderate thunder damage to one enemy. 50% chance of applying guard down. Okay, so he does guard down too. Hopefully we get some mixing and matching here with these effects. Alright, so let's get to 15 for another skill. And X marks the spot. Deals moderate thunder damage to one enemy. 50% chance of applying bleed to one enemy. Okay, so his special skill did bleeding, and apparently he does too. Why don't we just throw that there for now? It's only a 50% chance. The 50% are going on a little bit long here. We need to lose those 50% now. Alright, so let's get to level 20. And another skill. Go for the sails. Deals moderate thunder damage to one enemy. Applies guard down to all enemies. Alright, now that is just flat out useful. I'm going to throw that on the end there because that's a guard down, and this is a better guard down. Guard down, of course, if your monster has it, means that anybody who attacks him cannot miss, even if they have total blind on. So it can be very, very useful in this day of missing. All right, so let's go on to level 25. Way Anchored. Deals moderate special damage to one enemy, removes 100% of stamina. Oh, that is useful, but that is an enormous stamina cost right there and a big cooldown. All right, I'm going to put it there because, you know, it's obviously better than a stamina leak, let alone a 50% chance, right? All right, so let's continue to level 30. No Landlubber here. Activates all cooldowns on one enemy, applies bleed to one enemy. That's very, very useful. What was this? Oh, well, this one does bleeding. It's only a 50% chance of bleeding. All right, I'm going to put that one there for now. That's very useful. So you can single one dangerous enemy out and just activate his cooldowns and just throw some bleeding in just for fun, right? All right, so let's continue to level 35. Krakens Blessing. Deals heavy thunder damage to one enemy, removes 50% of stamina from all enemies. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm going to put this one up here for now, and we'll see what happens with everything else. We may have to go through the skills to see which ones we're going to keep, because he's got an interesting selection here so far. All right, let's continue to level 40. Probably like 2 more left. Len Ho activates all cooldowns on all enemies. Applies. Okay, well that one. Ooh, that one is just. That one's good. It does the cooldowns and it does bleeding, so that's a good combo right there. I do notice, however, his skills are rather high in stamina cost, but they're really kind of good too, aren't they? I'd like to keep that one. It could be useful. Let's think for a minute. Guard down on all enemies. Do I want him doing that? He's only hitting one guy with that. All right, for one thing is, I'm going to keep this one. I want this one in the first spot. I like to have those ones I'm going to lead with in the first spot. I'm not saying I'm not keeping Krakens Blessing, but I'll wait for it to come around or manually put it somewhere else. It depends. He's got some good skills here, but I do see why he's denial. Yes, he is. All right, so let's continue to level 45. Probably have one more left. Jolly Roger's Curse. Oh, that's a 50%. We're not doing 50%. Nope, nope, nope. All right, and level 50. Dangerous Buccaneer. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies. Applies bleed to all enemies. Ooh, that's a good question now. All right, so I'm not losing that one. I'd kind of like to keep that one. Well, I mean, both of these are single target. Like, I am taking you out of the fight, right? So, I mean, which one is more useful to me? Well, I'm already activating cooldowns over here. So being able to take away the stamina, depending on whether or not they have relics or not, could be a good second form of denial, right? It tells me, okay, so here it comes. Do I want guard down or do I want bleeding? Thing is, I'm already making them bleed. I already am making them bleed right here. This is a 2-round cooldown right here. This first one, Dangerous Buccaneer, right? Actually, I'm looking at this one over here. Lan Ho makes them bleed for 3 turns. It's a 3-round cooldown, which means there will be 1 round when they're not bleeding. So, do I want to get rid? It's slightly more damage. But guard down. Oh, guard down is useful. Really useful. Do I part with one of these? I have 2 skills that do the bleeding. So it comes down to the damage. I'm going to keep the guard down for now. I'm going to keep that. We have seen all the skills, but I kind of want to look into the skill menu and just pick them that way. Because I do believe we've seen everything. So let's just get up to 60. Okay, that's a 50%. Not interested. And that's... Are you giving me 50% considering the one that I just said no to? You should be pushing that one on me, right? Right, because it's sitting right on top there. Actually, that one's on top too. Okay, and then you're giving me the 50% down here. I mean, why aren't you pushing these on me, right? All right, now I'm not parting with that one, obviously. Now here's the question, do I need both of these? If I have to pick one of these, I'm going to pick this one because I've already activated their cooldowns here, right? I've already activated their cooldowns and they're bleeding. This is just a single target version. So this is an entirely different way that I could control the enemy. Of course, this one's doing stamina too, but that's going to take stamina away from everybody. Later in the fight, that could be very useful. All right, I am going to take the no landlubber out, and I'm going to swap this one back in. The 50% stamina isn't as effective in the beginning of the fight, but after 1 or 2 rounds, it could blank them out, right? So, I mean, that's definitely something to take into consideration. And this one here is very good for that. Now, the big question is, do I want, where is it? Do I want this one, Dangerous Buccaneer, which is going to do slightly more damage and do the bleeding, which they're already doing, by the way. They probably are already bleeding. Or do I want the guard down? I am going to keep the guard down one because I feel that that is more useful. I think that they're going to be bleeding already. So that's my take on the situation, is that I think they're bleeding already from this. So I am going to keep this one for now. All right, and that is going to be that. All right, let's take a look at his numbers at 60. Okay, his strength is not terrible, but it's not terrific either. That's not why he's there, right? And then we have his life. His life is above normal. It's above normal, but he's not tanky. But he's also not a glass cannon as well. His speed is very good. His speed, I could see putting some good speed runes on him. He's going to go pretty much fast. And let me tell you something. I like the fact that in Thunder, I now have a different form of denial. Because the thing is, all I really had was Gentech with the stuns. Great stuns, though. I believe double stuns, right? But I didn't have anything else, really, unless I wanted to, say, take Tempest, take him, go really fast, and have him use his blindness instead of his stuns. So I'm glad I went with this guy. I know that Salat was actually great damage, but this could be strategically more useful to me in the future, especially if I was going to go for certain individuals, you know, War Masters, for instance. All right, so let's take a look at the skills that I selected and figure out how we're going to handle this guy. All right, so here we have the first one, Lan Ho, and this is what I was talking about. Activates all cooldowns on enemies, applies bleed to all enemies. So this is the big one, activates the cooldowns, throws bleeding in just for fun, right? So that can be very, very useful. There are some individuals that cooldown activation doesn't really work too well on. Voltec, for instance, Igneous can be very bad with that because he's got that one attack with a 0 cooldown which attacks everybody and sets them all on fire. I think it ignites them. So you have to use that cautiously, right? So the thing about it is, though, that generally speaking, cooldown activation is very, very good. There are certain characters who are just shut down by it, right? Prince Charmless being one of them, right? Varuna being another one. Lots of them are just like they're going to be charging for a couple of rounds. Throwing the bleeding in is just good. And it's a 3-round cooldown. That's not so bad. It means you can do it once every 4 rounds. So that's kind of useful. And then we have this one. Krakens Blessing. Deals heavy thunder damage to one enemy. Removes 50% of stamina from all enemies. Now, I'm not going to play him up on damage. I'm not going to put any damage runes on him or anything like that. So the damage is kind of nice to throw in. The real thing here is taking 50% of the stamina. It's not the kind of thing you're going to lead a fight with, but if you get to the second, third turn, and they might only have 50% of their stamina left, you can just do this and blank them out at that point. So that can be very useful, especially if you lead with this one and then maybe come in with this one, depending on what's been going on their side, right? Of course, chances are, if you do this, they're probably charging, right? So this one, you may have to wait a little bit. But you know what? There are other things he can do. All right, then we have this one, Weigh Anchor. Deals moderate special damage to one enemy, removes 100% of stamina from one enemy. Now this is costly, right? It's a 60 stamina cost for him and a 4-round cooldown. But you just get to go zap one guy, he's out for now. Unless he's got some kind of shenanigans working for him, right? He's got a charging banner. Maybe you pick somebody who can actually attack with a 0 cooldown or something like that. Not the kind of thing you want to do on Makugan, right? Who has an attack that's a 0 cooldown and a 0 stamina. Yeah, I mean, against some targets, it could be a problem. A lot of targets, though, you can really hurt somebody by taking their stamina away, right? You've just really hurt a Cryoton by doing that. Because he's nowhere near doing his big one. You'd also hurt a General Thetis by doing that as well. Anyway, this is very good. It's like another form of denial for him. You know, it's another single target, take this guy out of there. And then we have this one, Go for the Sails. Deals moderate thunder damage to one enemy, applies guard down to all enemies. All right, I had another one that was like this. Matter of fact, let's just kick that up again. Actually, the difference here, too, I just noticed it, is that the other attack hits all of the enemies. It physically hits all the enemies, whereas the one that I selected, Go for the Sails, only physically hits one of them. So that's definitely something to consider. The reason I went with this one is the other one did bleeding to everyone, which kind of this one does, and guard down can be very, very useful. You know, if you activate their cooldowns, they may not be able to go for a round or two. So which means this would be very useful to throw in as a second attack. You know, activate their cooldowns so then your team knows they're not going to miss. I mean, even if your own monster has total blind, if they're attacking somebody who has guard down wins. They're going to get hit. Also, from my experience, those skills that are, you have a 50% chance of applying something to this target. If they have guard down, it's going to activate. It turns into a pretty much a 100%, unless they're resistant to it or they're immune to it. So I think that's probably the one I'm going to go with if I'm going to keep him into that basically kind of denial supporty type of a thing. This guy is very good, and I am definitely glad that I listened to my viewers and I went for him. The other guy was damaging, right? But this guy gives me something that I didn't have in Thunder, which of course is another form of denial. And I can't wait to be testing this guy. He's probably going to be in the next group. When that's going to be, it'll probably be pretty soon because I want to start doing that before, of course, 750. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate it. And play games because games are fun. See ya.